Hey guys, we're up here at the range now, and up here we're going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals of shooting. So if you come to a class here at Patriot Training Center, you're going to get a great deal of this. I'm going to give you a little overview of what we talk about, hit on those 5 fundamentals of shooting, let you see it in practice just a little bit. But here we go, starting with fundamental number 1, we're going to start with the fighting platform, or the stance. I don't like to call it a stance because in our context, what we're looking at, fighting for our life, is it's a fighting platform, and that's why we call it that. So what I'm looking to do here, guys, if I'm in this stable position right here, as a right-handed dominant shooter, I'm looking to put my feet a little slightly more than shoulder width apart. I'm going to bring my dominant leg back heel to toe, just a little bit there, and I'm going to get a little bend in my knees, and I'm going to get my chest out over my knees or nose out over toes, whatever term works best for you. And there I go. I'm in a nice little fighting platform. So the great thing about this, I can do a lot of things. I can defend with my hands. I can go to my OC spray if I need to. I can go to my knife or whatever else. Or obviously, if things go bad, I can go to my gun. All right, so that's our fighting platform. That's the first fundamental that we're looking at. So now we've talked about the fighting platform and we got that fundamental out of the way. So let's move to fundamental number 2 and talk about getting a grip on the pistol. So what I'm looking to do right here is I'm looking to get a good solid grip on this pistol because it does a lot of things for me. And those things, we'll explain them in class. Come and see us and I'll talk about all those different things the grip does. But for now, let's just talk about how to get that first master grip. That's our dominant hand grip. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and make a finger gun because that registers my finger high and tight and keeps that finger out of that trigger. All right, what I'm looking to do with the webbing of my hands, I wanna get it as high as I can, right there in the tang of that gun. My fingers fall right where they need to be with a registered trigger finger. And I like to shoot with my thumbs high. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. So that master grip with the thumb on that dominant hand goes ahead and falls right where it should be right there. So that's my master grip. And what can I do with this if I have to? I can go ahead and get in the fight and put rounds down range if I need to. Because there might be something wrong with this hand. It could be injured. I could be protecting a child or whatever else it might be. So that master grip's got to be solid. So again, I'm making that finger gun. I've got everything where it should be, and it just falls right into place, okay? Now, when I come back around here and I wanna get the complete two-handed grip, I'm gonna stage my support hand just like I did with my dominant hand. So I'm gonna go ahead and flag that support hand thumb high, and I'm gonna go ahead and get those fingers where they need to be, and all I'm doing is completing a 2-piece puzzle. So I've got all this empty space right here, another place for the puzzle piece to go to complete this puzzle. And all I have to do is bring that support hand in and fill in that gap and complete that puzzle. All right, notice my support hand thumb is high as well. The reason I run my thumbs high is because I get a very high grip on the pistol and I don't need it to interfere with these controls. So flagging my thumbs high helps that. So here's what it looks like from the dominant hand side. Okay, there's my full firing grip with the dominant hand. And coming back over here, when I complete the two-handed grip, there we go. And notice that gun is covered and I've got all of that grip covered without exposing any, which is going to transfer all the energy through me and reduce recoil. And that's incredibly important. All right, grip pressure, there's 2 different ways to look at this. I'll give you the first way that I do it, which is kind of rare these days. I use isometric tension, which is a push-pull method. So with my dominant hand, I'm pushing forward, and with my support hand, I'm pulling back, and that stabilizes the gun in my hand. A second way to do that is 360-degree inward pressure, where I would be applying pressure inward with both hands to stabilize the gun. No right or wrong way to do that. It's up to you and whatever works best for you. Just like with the thumbs. A lot of people run thumbs forward. Nothing wrong with that at all. Some people do a hybrid, some people do what I do with the thumbs high. It's whatever works best for you, okay? So now we've got a fighting platform, we've got a nice grip. Now we need to look at sight alignment, sight picture, or what I call sight management. So if we look at downrange, we have a target And if we're wanting to make a good hit on that target, we've got to line the sights up. Now, if we're shooting iron sights like on this blue gun, the process is we have to align the sights and then put the sights on target where we want that to hit. Sight alignment is the optical relationship between the front sight and the rear sight, meaning we get them with equal height, equal light, meaning we've got this front sight lined up in this rear notch, and it's the same height and there's the same width between the space in the rear sight where we're looking through just like a window into that front sight. So the sight picture is that alignment of the sights put on target where we want to hit. So if I'm looking at my target and I want to put a hit right in the middle of that 8-inch circle on the chest, I'm going to get equal height, equal light with my front and rear sight, and then I'm going to place them right where I want that hit to go. And that's proper sight alignment and proper sight picture. And that's what gets us to making really good hits. But we're not through yet, because what we have to do next is we have to manage the trigger. So, trigger press. We could spend hours and hours and hours talking about this, but I'll go through it pretty quick. But what we're looking for with our trigger press is we're looking to basically press the trigger straight to the rear without disturbing our sights. So what we're doing is a deliberate, controlled press that keeps our sights from moving, all right? So when you come to take a class with us, we do a lot of drills on this, and we see some really awesome results with the students right off the bat after we work through our Dryfire program, and then we put that into practice with our live fire and start really working on managing that trigger and keeping it from disturbing these sights, and you start making hits and things start rolling good pretty quick. All right, so once we master that and we're making good hits, the next fundamental that we cannot forget is follow through and recovery. So once we get our good stance, we get our good grip, and we're out on target, and we've got our sights where they need to be, and we've got them right where we want them to make that good hit, and we manage that trigger and do a good job pressing it straight to the rear where we don't disturb those sights, we've got to be ready for a follow-up shot. So that's where follow through and recovery comes in. So what I'm doing is I'm getting 2 sight pictures for every shot that I fire. So what that means is I'm on target, shot 1, boom, we make the hit, but I'm not just jerking the gun down or trying to see where I hit. I'm going to recover my sights and get a second sight picture, because the thing is, we don't know. They may need another dose of 9mm, so we might have to be ready to keep fighting. So that's important, because out in the streets in the real world, if we're having to defend ourselves with deadly force, it could take 1 round, it could take 3 rounds, we just do not know. We shoot to stop the threat. So when the threat stops whatever they were doing that's forcing us to shoot them, we stop as well, but we can't predict how many that will be. That's why follow through and recovery is so important. So we've talked about those fundamentals of shooting. Now let's talk just a little bit about the presentation of the gun, because we have to carry the gun in the holster. So as we see here, my holster's empty because we've got the blue gun out for this section, and this is how I have to go through the world. Concealed, obviously. So I have to get the gun out in order to get into the fight and defend myself. So what we teach is a 4-count draw stroke, okay? Made up of real simple steps that are efficient and robust, that allows us to present the pistol guaranteed every time the same way, so that we are very fluid with that, and it becomes an automated process that allows us to get the gun out when we need it and do what we need to do. So real quick, I'll go through those 4 counts and you can take a look at it, and then come to class, come see us, and get to do all this in person. It's a lot of fun and you'll learn a lot. All right, so the 4-count draw. The first thing that I'm gonna do, now I'm carrying in an appendix position right now. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my hands and I'm gonna use all the digits I have, because I wanna grab as much cloth as I possibly can. So I'm gonna use all 10, because I'm gonna have to do this in a hurry. And as you see, I might miss with 1 or 2. So that's why I wanna use all of them. And once I grab that cloth, I'm pulling straight up. And with my support hand, I'm going to pin this cover garment to my chest while I simultaneously get a master grip on the pistol. This is count 1, we call it access, because again, we're concealed, we're accessing the pistol. Okay, so to move to count 2, all I'm doing is I'm simply going to draw the pistol straight up, and I'm going to use my thumb as a point of reference and come all the way up to my pectoral to where that puts my elbow at 90 degrees. That's kind of my landmark. So again, count 1, I'm going to access the pistol. Count 2, coming out, and I'm tracing that thumb all the way up to my pectoral. That's important for 2 reasons. It gives us a landmark to get us where we need to be, but most importantly, look at that muzzle. That allows the muzzle to get out in front of me and not be pointing inward at me, which would be really bad. All right, so again, I pin here after I access. I've got my master grip, trace all the way up to the pectoral, muzzle's out in front just as it should be. Now to complete count 2, all I'm going to do is simply drop the gun, drop the elbow, and open up right here to what we call a position of retention. All right, so this is important because what if this person has got into this range where I might have to fight from here? So I can technically get my finger on the trigger and put rounds if somebody is literally right here in front of me. All right, so moving on to count 3. So I still have my hand prepped right here because the third part of this draw is the gather phase, meaning I'm going to complete my 2-handed grip. So I've got the pistol in the position of retention right here, and now all I'm going to do is slide it straight across my chest and gather this pistol as close to my chest as I possibly can and form that good 2-handed grip we just talked about. Now, same thing as the position of retention. If the attacker has made it close enough to me, I can somewhat get a little bit of sighted fire on this guy. This is not something we would want to do out past a couple of yards, but if it has to happen, that's what that's for. The other reason we gather the gun this close is because the further out we take the gun and chase with this support hand, I want you to watch the gun and watch the earthquake that it causes. Meaning I will literally knock the gun off of line and have to bring the sights back on target, which is not good. So gathering it here close, getting that 2-handed grip now allows me to present the 4th part of the draw to target, get a sight picture, do what I need to do if I have to do so. So now I'm back here, and this is the most important part because we got to put the gun back up at some point, especially when we're out here training. So this is where we have to be extremely careful. First of all, we have to make sure that we have the finger registered high and tight. And we're basically reversing the process. I've come to count 3, I've come to my target, I've fired my rounds, I'm done, I got my finger straight, and now I'm gonna work the gun back to my holster. I'm always gonna think these things to myself as I very deliberately go through this process. I'm gonna reverse back to count 2, and I am going to clear the cover garment. So as I'm back here, I'm making sure that my cover garment is cleared, my finger is registered high and tight off the trigger guard, I'm minding my muzzle, making sure that it stays down range at all times. To the best of my ability, I'm gonna put my hips a little bit forward with this appendix position as I begin to rotate the gun, minding that muzzle again, making sure that I've got it pointed in a safe direction, and I'm gonna look down there and slowly, carefully, reluctantly holster this gun, because that way if I feel something wrong, I can come back out. I don't have to jam it down in there and risk there being a big problem. And I can just start the process again. So I'm slowly, carefully, reluctantly, with a full firing grip, working it all the way in until I hear that nice, satisfying click, and then I'm good. I can take a deep breath and go about whatever I'm doing. All right, so that's just a quick recap of what we teach here with the fundamentals of shooting and the 4-count draw. Would love to see you guys out here at class so we can put some work in on this and get you where you need to be. Come see us.